So when Trump talks about a golden age, he may be talking about this. And again, this is from whoever Echo is. How much revenue will tariffs generate? Came the question at Thursday's press conference. President Trump said it was the most important question, and his answer revealed architecture. The External Revenue Service. How do you like that? One of them came up with this. I like it. I like it. Do you like it? I think I like it too, Elon. The External Revenue Service. McKinley proved this model in America's first golden age. Strategic tariffs funded prosperity without internal taxation. The founders knew this power. Tariffs funded American prosperity for over a century. When those in Mordor dismiss or denounce it, those who understand history see something profound taking shape, because Thursday's revelation went deeper. Now, you got to kind of follow this, because this is generally is a rabbit hole. When Trump keeps calling Canada's prime minister governor, now, I had not thought about this. Why does he keep calling Trudeau the governor of Canada? He's not the governor, he's the prime minister. Is there some messaging that's going on here that we're not aware of? Are the MAGA people in the Trump administration subtly gaming us, preparing the MAGA masses for the hammer that's about to drop? Read on, Pilgrim. When Trump keeps calling Canada's prime minister governor, the media miss what's going on. They think it's an insult, a provocation, a threat. Now, those of you who are fans of secede, this is for you. A provocation, a threat. But it's actually a blueprint being revealed. Because what if Canada isn't a foreign nation at all? What if it's simply North America's 51st republic? Temporarily operating under the illusion of independence. Look closer to home. Imagine. Now, this is where I'm reading this yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, what does this dude know that I don't know? So he writes, the Republic of Texas, the Republic of Florida, even the Republic of California. Not states in the diminished modern sense, but true republics in the classical sense. He's talking about little r republicanism here. So I'm reading this going like, this guy's got to be a listener. Or he was a listener once upon a time. How many times have I gone through the exercise to prove that the state of Louisiana is a country that could be recognized by the UN? State of Georgia is a country that could be recognized by the UN. It's a republic in its own right. If you have the sovereign capacity to ratify one of these, a constitution, well, then obviously you have the sovereign power to unratify it, and this is what constitutes a sovereign state. So when the Founding Fathers referred to states, the definition in 1788 is country. Read on. Hang on, Pilgrim. Gets really interesting then. Not states in the diminished modern sense, but true republics in the classical sense. Sovereign entities united by shared principles and mutual benefit. Again, that's the Union. Read the preamble to the Constitution. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, provide for the common defense, ensure domestic tranquility, etc., etc. Sovereign entities united by shared principles and mutual benefit, each with its own character, its own solutions, its own path to excellence. This isn't regression, it's evolution. And as America approaches its 250th anniversary, a new architecture is taking shape. He's saying that there is a method to the MAGA, Doge, Trump madness. Is this what the leftard is instinctively sensing? Is this what the demons that possess the leftards are instinctively hearing? And they're going like, wait a minute, you can't, no, this is Hotel California, baby. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. You got to stay. You can't leave our centralized, top-down, one-size-fits-all tyrannical government. We run it for you. I mean, we run it for us, but, this is for you the people. Maybe this is why the leftards are throwing the greatest hissy fit in the history of leftard hissy fits. They know the gig is up. They sense that there's another hammer that's going to be dropped. I'm telling you, the State of the Union is coming up. By the way, yesterday, no Trump public appearances. Not a peep. Today, no Trump public appearances. He's signing executive orders. Executive orders that do what? As the administration sits there and waits for Judge Tanya Chufkin to rule on the ridiculous lawsuit filed by 14 states. This lawsuit has to fail. These people cannot be left with power to be running off like little crybabies every time the Trump administration makes a move to go say, he can't do that, it's mean. It's not in the Constitution, it's not Article 2 power. Oh, almost all of it is, or all of it is. All right, continuing on with the thought experiment now. And as America approaches its 250th anniversary, a new architecture is taking shape. Beyond returning to greatness, beyond fixing what's broken. An evolution towards something greater. A design waiting to be built. McKinley understood something that he's talking about President McKinley. Something, maybe that's why they had to kill him. Something we forgot. External revenue means freedom. When government operates through strategic tariffs and trade policies rather than internal taxation, natural prosperity follows. Simple architecture creating profound results. But this isn't just about money, because America isn't a nation. It's a union of republics. I'm telling you, I wrote this. I literally have a piece on Substack about what a nation is and how America, the United States, is not a nation. It's a union of nations. It can't be a nation. Now, I'm reading this. About half a dozen people sent me this and go like, dude, you wrote this. This is straight out of What Lincoln Killed, a documentary, a docudrama I did back in 2012, of What Lincoln Killed, episode 1. Because America isn't a nation, correct? It's a union of republics, correct? But what if governors weren't just administrators, but actual heads of sovereign civilizations? How many times have I said, why doesn't Greg Abbott want to be president of Texas? Why doesn't Ron DeSantis want to be president of Florida? Why doesn't Jeff Landry want to be president of the republic or the country, great state of Louisiana? And you start to think about this, this all makes sense. What did Ronald Reagan say? What were the states? Laboratories of, anybody? Bueller, democracy, right? State borders, not lines on a map, but boundaries between distinct cultures and communities choosing to work together. What if that was how this was all meant to be? Well, it was how it was all meant to be. The founders designed this brilliantly. They weren't building a country. They were architecting advancement. Each republic solving problems its own way. Each governor leading a unique entity. Each community creating excellence through local genius. All united by choice, not force. Well, of course, Lincoln brought all that to an end. This wasn't accident. It was design. Now, watch what happens as external revenue service subtly supplants internal taxation. We should go back to, do we have that soundbite in the archive? I think we do.
I believe one of the biggest hurdles we have when it comes to attaining that American dream is overtaxation.
Yeah.
When it comes to federal taxes,
right.
I know we're going to bring back, I'm sure you're going to start back up the pipeline,
right.
The Keystone Pipeline,
in 2 minutes.
which is going to generate an abundance of revenue.
Right.
Also, with the tariffs that you've spoken of. So my question is, with all this extra revenue we're going to be bringing into the country, so do you believe at some point in time we could find a way, once the country's back on its feet and getting enough revenue and paid off our debt, do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel about it?
You know, in the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now we have income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax, and they don't have the money to pay the tax. No, in the old days, 1890, 1880, we had so much money, they had to set up committees, blue ribbon committees, how to spend our wealth. We had no idea how to spend it with so much money. Then we went to the income tax system, and the rest is sort of history. But no.
The young man that was at the barber shop that asked President Trump, he goes, it would be in the Twitter archive. I'll find it during the break. The young guy, Trump goes to during the campaign, it was in June when he did the campaign stop in the Bronx, right? He goes to this barber shop in the Bronx, and he sits down and he has, someone who's with him is getting a haircut. He's sitting there in the barber chair, and he's talking to these young, all the black guys that are hanging out at this barber shop. Some of them are young. And one of them says, well, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? And Trump goes, of course you can. Wait, what's the question? What do you want to know? And the young man goes like, look, I'm a young guy, obviously. I have a wife. I have 2 kids already. I'd like to have more, but there's this fear in the back of my mind that no matter how hard I work and how well I do at working, that there's always going to be this thing, this Internal Revenue Service and income taxation that's always going to take substantial portions of what I earn from me. It's going to take it from me. Isn't there another way? Didn't we used to do this without an income tax? And that's when Trump let the hammer drop. And he goes, go back to Tariff Act of 1888 or whatever it was. And go back to the time of President McKinley. Trump brought up McKinley. He brought up the Tariff Act of 1878, and he brought up the fact that we didn't have any income tax. We had almost no internal revenue. Everything came by tariffing, duties, and impost. Something happened last week. Maggie and I watched this press conference where he said, we're going to pay off the national debt. We're going to pay it off with tariffs. And it's just struck me as, well, that was odd and came out of nowhere. My point in this monologue, folks, is you're going to have to stick around to find out. Tell you when we come back. I want to get back to this fascinating discussion of, are we in the middle of a revolution? What did John Adams say about revolution? Adams said we were in the midst of objects of the most stupendous magnitude. Objects of the most stupendous magnitude. We are in the midst of revolution, the most complete, unexpected, and remarkable of any in the history of the world. Are we in the midst of a revolution? I seem to be the only media guy that's saying, I think this is a revolutionary moment. Why do I think that? Because of the language that I hear being used, which is not Washington speak, it's not bureaucrat speak, it's not a wonk speak, it's American speak. Because I believe that they pushed the wrong guy too far and tried to take the wrong guy out. And because they failed to take him out, they even tried to kill him twice. Because they failed to take him out, look what is being teed up. Let's continue, shall we? So I'm reading from this piece on Substack that all of you should go read. It's called Golden Age, the American Renaissance. Just came out 3 days ago. Eco Loves You is the Substacker. This wasn't an accident. It was designed. Now watch what happens as External Revenue Service suddenly supplants internal taxation. Republics regain their sovereignty. Local solutions flourish. Natural wealth flows. I'm reading from a screen right there if you keep wondering why I'm turning. Communities solve problems instead of hiding debt. When artificial constraints fall away, civilization evolves. And then under the next subheading is the Renaissance architecture. Picture in America expanded in all directions through peaceful integration, its borders grown to embrace natural allies and resources. Is this why President Trump keeps calling Trudeau, Governor Trudeau, and keeps babbling on about making Canada a state? Now, if you start thinking about it with a really broad, excited mind, you may then go like, well, this is kind of completely out of the ordinary. Why did he send Donald Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, J.D. Vance, and others to Greenland as emissaries? Hi, we come in peace. You guys want to get purchased? Because we'd love to buy you. Why? Was it just something that happened? Was that an arbitrary, or is it part of a larger plan? Picture an America that expanded in all directions through peaceful integration, its borders grown to embrace natural allies and resources, not through conquest, but through the same spirit that drove pioneers westward. The pursuit of shared prosperity and purpose. This isn't distant utopia, it's natural evolution. Each republic discovers its unique genius. Texas revolutionizes energy through innovation, not regulation. Florida transforms commerce by reimagining ports and trade. California unleashes advanced technology unburdened by corruption. Merit drives advancement, achievement shapes culture, purpose replaces politics. When 50 plus distinct but connected civilizations compete to create excellence, something extraordinary emerges, a renaissance of American potential. You know, you stop right there. This was basically Ronald Reagan's dream. You know, Reagan said that if you didn't like the state that you lived in, you were an American and you could do what he said, you could vote with your feet. You can, you don't like it in West Virginia, move to Tennessee. You don't like it in California, move to Montana, whatever the case. No, if you're in California, for heaven's sake, don't go to Montana. You'll ruin it. You'll screw it up. You can vote with your feet. Reagan also said that the states, you should cherish the states. The states are laboratories of democracy. Maybe West Virginia figures out this whole driver's license registration thing, gets a system down to where no one actually ever has to go, but you can still drive and go like, hey, look at what we created. Or maybe there's another innovation of sorts. The point being, when you see the borders of a state on a map, you should think, as Mike Church has always told you, those of you that have been listening since the old Sirius XM Patriot days, a state is a country. If you think of it as a country, it's got its own flag, right? It's got its own motto. It's got its own flower. Has its own state song. Louisiana's "As You Are My Sunshine." Maryland's used to be, they banned the song. They made them take it away. Maryland, My Maryland. Virginia has a song. I know Virginia has a song. Georgia adopted Ray Charles's, what is the song? Georgia on My Mind, right? The Georgia legislature adopted Ray Charles's Georgia on My Mind as a state song. The point being, each state is its own country with its own culture and its own people and its own civilization and communities. We choose to enter into the Union of States so that we can have peaceful trade and privileges immunities, meaning we can travel between one another without having to flash passports and what have. That's the purpose of the Union. So no other state can tariff or tax a good that comes from another state. That's in the Constitution. You start to think about it like this, that this is how it was, pretty much. And even before the American Revolution, before the Constitution and the Declaration, when royal colonies were also distinct. Each one had its own name, its own flag, its own governor, its own representatives. In Virginia, no one else had a House of Burgesses. Only the Virginians did. The Commonwealths, like in Massachusetts, they had a Commonwealth system. Pennsylvania was a Commonwealth. And the point being, there's diversity here. Is this what making America great again in the golden age is really all about? Now that I'm starting to think about it, I'm starting to think that, you know what? There may be something else going on here. Now, maybe this Evo guy is more than one person. I can tell you that the next piece that we're going to do, the one about how they did it and what they did inside the Treasury Department, will blow your mind. That was written by an eyewitness. That was someone that was in that room when those coders went in there with their laptops and cracked their knuckles and fired them up and went, all right, because they ran algorithms. They tapped into the Treasury computer. They weren't just going line by line looking for things. They hit send. And the algorithm then started generating. It started taking in data, analyzing it, and then putting it into the parameters of the programs that they design. And then they started getting feedback, going like, okay, well, how much of this doesn't have a codes to it, for example? They have an accounting now. It's $4.7 trillion and counting. All right, back to the piece here. Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. Again, asking you to take the Mike Church Show Crusade Radio Network 2025 survey. You can find the link on any of our social media. It's in your email box if you subscribe to any of my emails in the last 15 years. I still have your email address. I spammed you this morning. So check your spam box for today's church doctrine. The link's at the top of the page. You can't miss it. And thank you in advance for all of you, especially those of you that are new listeners or new to the show. You don't really want to hear what you think about all this as well. Okay, let's go back to the piece now. When 50 plus distinct but connected civilizations compete. Now again, if you have free trade and privileges and immunities, and you have the ability to move in between these countries called states, why are people fleeing New York? Because Florida is saying, we beat them at all the things that matter to you. In other words, it's a competition for citizenry. Now, you may be immigrating the wrong kind of citizen, but it's a competition saying, like, well, you know, I don't want to live in Illinois anymore. I don't want to pay their stinking taxes. I can't stand fat boy, tranny mammy, coddling Pritzker, so I'm just going to move to Wisconsin, which is not much better. Or maybe you move a little further west and you move to Iowa, a little further south, or a little further west, you move to Nebraska. Maybe you move to one of the Dakotas there. Your choice. They're competing for good citizens. They're competing for geniuses. They're competing for hardworking men. They're competing for genius, regenerative farmers, for example. Can you figure out a new way locally to get beautiful, we love beautiful milk. We love it. Beautiful milk delivered to my doorstep so I don't have to go to the Piggly Wiggly to get it? Each republic contributing its unique strengths to our shared advancement. The design exists. Excellence calls. But there's one key that changes everything. The personal key. Here's the profound truth hiding in plain sight, says Evo loves you. Echo loves you. This only works when citizens embrace personal responsibility.
Oh, it's over.
Well, that's it. We're done. All right, Maggie, what's on the cut sheet? All right, we can end this. Forget what I said previously. It'll never work. It only works when citizens embrace personal responsibility. We know now that no one is coming to save us. POTUS and Elon Musk and Kash Patel and others in the administration are fixing federal government. But excellence starts in your own republic, in your own backyard. True self-governance requires something deeper than just voting. I'm telling you, this guy's a listener. Eco, you complete me. How many times have we talked about exactly that? I mean, it's almost verbatim. Here, throw the, do you have the little R Republican, the old little R Republican sticker? I'm trying to think how I would have saved it. Well, I think I have one. I have everything but a sticker. I have it somewhere. In any event, most of you know what it looks like. If you don't, just took the term Republican, and then to emphasize the point that you don't have to have capital R Republicans, that we are all lowercase. So that's little r Republicans, right? That's what he's talking. He's talking about little r Republicanism. Plato wrote a book called Republic. The founding fathers, when they were drafting this or talking about that, talked about republics. And now the republic is completely and totally different from a democracy. Not everyone leads in a republic because there's not a lot of leading to do. There it is. Republican, if you have to act, you're part of the problem. Which literally means if you don't get it, everything goes down to scale. This guy's also talking about scale. This is this is an exercise in scale. Because he's basically saying this whole thing is out of scale. Personal autonomy requires personal responsibility as well. This only works when citizens embrace personal responsibility. And others in the administration are fixing federal government. Trump, Musk, Kash Patel, he mentions. But excellence starts in your own republic, in your own backyard. True self-governance requires something deeper than just voting. All of this is true, folks. It demands citizens who build solutions instead of waiting for them, who create greatness instead of complaining about its absence. What the whole essay that we did at the beginning of the month of February about basically the never Trumpers, the ones that are going to sit out there. I even created a new update. We have magasms now, a magasm update of those that are going to sit out there and are going to find something wrong with something good. That it's never going to be good enough. So, and this is so, I believe, so they don't have to participate. They have no skin in the game. So because they think everything's going to fail, when it fails, they can point the finger and blame all of us. They go like, see, I told you I was sitting this one out for a reason. It demands citizens who build solutions instead of waiting for them, who create greatness instead of complaining about its absence, who lead to action, not just sharing memes. Although memes are great, you can see it in your head happening. A mother opening a home bakery without endless permits. A homeschool teacher creating her own curriculum without federal oversight. I'm telling you, this guy, this is written by someone that is deep inside Trump Central. Who knows? Maybe it's actually Elon. I don't know how he has time to do anything, actually. The man puts out 400 tweets a day. A neighborhood building its own healthcare network without bureaucratic barriers. How many times have we talked about that? Here, let me throw another one out at you. Why do I have to buy my electricity from a utility that's 110 miles away from me? And has transmission lines that have to cross rivers and forests and every other Hades-forsaken thing, and who are susceptible to all manner of weather events and idiots driving down highways who smash into telephone poles and take out entire cities for a day at a time. The grid, the whole idea of the grid was rigged from the beginning. It was to force everyone into a centralized distribution of electricity, so you couldn't have autonomy, local, regional, even like a little development like this. Why couldn't you have a little steam-generated plant right down the road that was generating enough electricity for 1,000 homes and had the cables buried? Doesn't matter if a hurricane comes. Cables are all buried. Plant's right there. As long as it's got water, it can make steam. This is the kind of thought that this dude is talking about. Excellence emerges naturally when freedom meets responsibility. This is how we ascend. 50 sovereign republics, millions of responsible citizens, one shared identity. The power is no longer in Washington. It isn't even in your state capital. It's in your hands. It belongs to you. And then the next subheading is here, the American Renaissance. We're going to continue talking about this. So whoever wrote this says this thought experiment is meant to open a door to something greater than politics or economics. As we stand on the precipice of America's 250th anniversary and look toward our 300th, imagine the civilization we could build. Unique cultures flourishing through freedom, from all the way up to Greenland to all the way over in Gaza. Children growing up in societies shaped by achievement, not authority. Communities creating solutions to no central planner could imagine. Innovation flowing naturally when artificial barriers fall away. This isn't about returning to the past or fixing the present. It's about architecting tomorrow. Our founders gave us more than the Constitution. They gave us a framework for eternal evolution. They understood that true governance flows from natural principles, not bureaucratic constraints. That sovereignty starts with the individual citizen. Boy, how many times have I said that? That excellence can't be mandated, only unleashed. That's a great quote. Excellence can't be mandated, only unleashed. The golden age isn't a memory to recover or a dream to chase. It's a choice. And it begins with you. What will you build? Pretty simple. Thanks for reading. And then the dude says, I invite all of you to add your own ideas about America's future. And then if you'd like to support this work, you can always buy Echo a coffee. I'd love to buy you a coffee, bro. So go to EKO, it's echo.substack.com. Okay.